Hello everyone. On behalf of Department of Information Technology, Amajodi College of Engineering, I welcome you all to this webinar series on careers and skills in IT, Past to Explore. The next session in the series is about entrepreneurship in IT industry, what to keep in mind. I proudly welcome our speakers, Mr. Jasil Jose and Mr. Abhishek Krishnan for this session. And Mr. Jasil Jose, CEO, Greymore Tech Private Limited. And Jasil Jose is an alumnus of Department of IT, AJCE 2014-18 batch. He held positions of responsibility in students chapter of IEEE of AJCE and various other technical groups. After a brief stint at Byju's, the learning app, Jasil is now working at Greymore Tech, his own product-based startup. Mr. Abhishek Krishnan, Web GIS developer, Wildlife Institute of India. Abhishek is an alumnus of Department of IT, AJC 2014-18 batch, same batch. After building several technological solutions for Kerala Forest Department, Wildlife Trust of India, and other leading wildlife conservation organizations of India, while working with Leopard Tech Labs, an IT startup at Amalchodi TBI. He is now working with the Wildlife Institute of India, an autonomous institution of Government of India, and helping them to develop a web GIS platform. Once again, I welcome Jasil and Abhishek to this webinar. At the end of this webinar, participants can convey their questions in the chat box, and a link for entering the feedback will be provided in the chat. On submitting the feedback, the participation e-certificate will be auto-generated. Once again, I welcome all of you to this webinar. Wish you all a fruitful session, and over to Jasil.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So good morning, and thank you so much for having me here. I'm going to start the session today, and Abhishek is going to take over. And if any of you have any questions in between, you can either type it in the chat box or do the feedback form. So let's begin. I'm Jasil Jose. As I said, I'm the founder and CEO of my own little startup, and we are a product-based company. I've been working here for over a year. Before this, I was at Byju's, the learning app, and before that, me and Abhishek were together in some of our Kerala Forest endeavors. And we worked under Leopard Tech Labs for a while. And we studied together. So, entrepreneurship in the IT industry, what to keep in mind. So it's the dream, isn't it? Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur right now. Everyone wants to have the cake and eat it too. And when the word entrepreneur comes to mind, everyone is like, okay, I get to choose my own hours. It's very free. There's no 9 to 5. And everyone's so happy when they think about entrepreneurship. So I'm here to give you a brief in-depth, or maybe a very in-depth overview of what entrepreneurship is and what it entails after taking the plunge. So what will I be covering? I don't think that I can do anything better than tell my own story. So it can either be a moral or another cautionary tale, depending on how you take it. It could either be helpful for you or it could scare you. Depends on how you take it. So who am I? I'm a BTech graduate in IT. I studied at Amajodi, and I was in the 2014-18 batch. I was crazy about technology. I still am. I love watching people use things I make, even if it's a simple solution like a calculator. If someone uses the thing I make, I'm so happy. I think it's the same for every entrepreneur, right? Abhishek, two words. I like to solve problems, not the big tough problems. It takes me time, but I really like them though. And I have a bit of a shiny new stuff syndrome. I like using everything that's new. Any new stack that comes out, any new framework that comes out, I want to be the first to try it. Basically, another geek, just like all of you. So, my journey so far. I've been in love with computers since the very beginning, since I was in kindergarten. My dad used to have an old compact Pro Linea running Windows 3.1. And that was my first system. I used to do Paint, the old text. There's a notepad app, and it didn't have a start bar, so it was a fun experience. And I had a few family friends who are computer engineers, like my father's friends, my mother's friends, and watching them work on the computer, I was like, I love this thing, and I love and I love watching people work on it. So I was like, this is what I want. I want to work with computers. No matter what, I'm going to work with computers, and that's been in my head for a long time. I built my first one-page website using this old application called Microsoft Office Front Page. I mean, I don't know if any of you know of it. It's quite old. It was, I think it was available till Office 2003. Yeah. So what it used to do was it would allow you to drag and drop elements and make a one-page website or multi-page website. It would export it into HTML and CSS files. You could actually post it straight away to Office Live or any other hosted domains. Then slowly I graduated to blogs and small social network using plugins. Like there used to be a site called webs.com. So you could just use plugins to build anything you wanted. I built forums, communities, Facebook clones, and I was very proud of it. I used to be like, I built Facebook. It's basically just installing a plugin.
Yes, sir, I just want to interrupt you. I think your voice is getting break actually. So I think maybe because of the movement. So,
okay. Am I audible right now?
You're audible, but I think the sound is breaking.
I might change the mic setting a bit. Let me see. Yeah.
Because of the movement,
so,
I think there is a bit of
so then I also did two product-worthy projects in college, which was I was the last batch of MGU. So we had two projects. It was micro and main project. Micro project was, it's basically our first project, and I did a basic finance management system. It was, you could record your incomes and expense and view it. I spent a lot of time into it. I spent more time than anyone should on a micro project. And second one, I didn't have much of a development part. It was all Abhishek. Abhishek was the coder in it. I had just system admin and marketing roles of it. And that project was really, really close to my heart, because that gave us a lot of exposure outside college. I think till then we used to be inside college, and after that we moved outside college. And then now after a while, I built my own little startup doing things that others deem impossible or doubtful. Impossible because we'll try to do everything in such a way that it's accessible to everyone, and doubtful because we like doing things that others say is not possible. We like spending time on it and finally figuring it out for ourselves that it's impossible. We don't just take others' words for it. Now, that's me. Now, the things that people don't know about me when it comes to my life or me as or my career is that I chose science with computer science without a second thought when I was choosing streams for 11th and 12th. Just because I wanted computer science. I was really bad in science. I was really bad in maths. 10th I had good marks, but just having good marks in 10th does not warrant having good scores in 11th and 12th. I took science plus computer science only because I wanted computer science. I was not meant for the science stream. I'm pretty sure. I still think it was a fluke. I tried my hand at running a tech news blog after being inspired by this man named Pete Cashmore from Mashable. And in 2014, he was all the rage because he had made his first $100 million around then. And it was very simple and it was so clean. The interface was very helpful, very useful. And I used to be on that site every day to get the news because I liked to know what's new, the shiny new stuff syndrome part of me. I still have to refer online for search and sort algorithms. Every engineer is supposed to know search and sort algorithms really well. I still have to search online or put some time into each and every time I have to implement one of these algorithms. So I am not perfect. No one is. Even if you ask Bibi, the previous speaker, he will tell you the same thing. No one is perfect. No matter how colorful your profile seems, you're all going to be imperfect. Everyone is. We all are. And entrepreneurship is like magic. It just happens and it cannot be gotten rid of. Because once you catch that bug, you cannot go back. You ask anyone who's been in a startup and then you tell him, I'm going to give you a 9-to-5 job with a fixed salary. They're going to think twice or thrice or maybe even 10 times before saying yes, because they like that they get to do things that they like. So the initial characteristics of an entrepreneur, the things, the initial effects that an entrepreneur has, the characteristics that you self-diagnose. It's more like a measure of whether you can be an entrepreneur or not. They decide to solve problems or make things. That's number one. A little bit or a lot of overconfidence that I can do this. This is simple. The hunger for acknowledgement and validation. That is too much. And when you finally take the road, not taking, when you finally become an entrepreneur, after figuring out that you have the previous 3 qualities and this is what you want to do, you realize the desire to solve problems or make things gets worse. You want to solve everything, even the most simplest thing. You'll be like, I want to implement an app for that. No matter how simple it is, you'll be like, I want to implement an app for that. That could work. I could fix that. And that gets worse. A little bit of or a lot of overconfidence, that goes away. It just goes away. Your overconfidence goes away, and you'll wish you have some confidence left, because it's always going to have blowbacks. Everything you do is going to have a lot of side effects, and you're going to have to go through a lot of things that you did not expect, and because no one expects the repercussions of the actions when they get into entrepreneurship. Anything you do, even the smallest decision, always comes back to bite us. The hunger for knowledge and validation, that still persists, but morphs into something else. Instead of just seeking validation, that slowly morphs into the feeling, into this desire to see people use the things that you make, or use your services, or when you want your products to be how people recognize you. You don't want people to say, hey, that's Jessel. You want to say, hey, that's the guy who made this app or that app. That makes you more happier. If people say, you were in that team that made the app that helped me study this course online, right? And that makes you happy. So people just recognizing your name, people recognize the thing you made, that makes you happy. Now, the things that enable the jump: support, funds, optimism, people. Now, these 4 things you can actually, it breaks down. Support is all kinds of support. You need, it depends on the time. So if you're in college, you need the support of your teachers, because they are going to be the guides, the measure, the leading light to your future, because they will teach you things that you did not know. They have their own experiences that they can show you and tell you, so you don't make the same mistakes they did. They'll guide you. They have connections that you still haven't made, because you're just starting your career. They have a lot of connections because they're probably in the midst of their career, still going on high. Then there's the support of your parents, and that is something I say is very necessary, because when you want to become an entrepreneur, support from your family is of paramount importance, because everyone else around you are going to say, hey, are you still going on with that, or are you searching for a job? Do you know that the government job exams are starting soon? And then people will be like, do you want a job? I can give you a job. There'll be a lot of people telling you what you're doing is a time pass and it will pass, and it's a passing fad. And when you hear a lot of that, it kind of gets to your head. So support from your family, I believe, is of paramount importance, because the other people you see on a daily basis, and if you have their support, that's all validation that you need to keep going. So no matter how much the other people tell you, you can't do this, or it's just a hobby and it'll pass and you'll go for another job, if your parents support you, and if they are ready to understand that you like what you do and you enjoy what you do, and you have their support, everything else doesn't matter. Funds. Now that breaks down in a lot of ways. Primarily, runway. If you go into entrepreneurship, you have to know that you are not going to start making millions straight away. It is going to take time. You have to find clients. You have to find a footing. You have to find a niche. You have to prove yourself. And most importantly, people have to recognize that you are providing a service that they need. It's the marketing takes a lot side of it. You have to hire people that you like, people that you think will help you. All of this takes money and time. And having funds in the beginning is very important, because if you do not have enough funds in the beginning to generate a runway for you, at least for a year or two, it makes things hard. Because when fund shortages come, your confidence level kind of slows down a bit. You start thinking, maybe I should have gone for a side job and done this on the side. Or maybe I should ask my parents, or maybe you have already asked parents and now you don't have anyone to ask, and you're thinking, should I ask my family? And you have that feeling of doubt come up again and again. So you need to make sure that you have funds to sustain your startup and your ideas for at least a year or two. Because that way, you get enough time to develop a product or have clients for your services, to make sure the market knows that you are in it too. Because the market is bloated. There is a lot of people doing exactly what you're doing. There's a lot of technology people. There's a lot of engineers doing exactly what you're doing. No one has a unique idea. If you have an idea, there's no guarantee that someone else won't have the idea in the next 6 months. So if you have an idea, you have to get started. And if you get started, you have to make sure it's better. You have to make sure it's streamlined. You have to make sure people know about it. It all takes money and time. Then comes optimism, and that is necessary, because optimism is what makes you feel like you can go through anything. It's the "this too shall pass" attitude. It's the cliched line that's used in movies every day in situations, but it matches in this situation very well, because "this too shall pass," that works here very well, because no matter how bad things get, you have to be sure, you have to keep your goals fixed. You should not move your sight away from the end goal, because moving your sight away from the end goal means you change your focus away to the problems that come in the immediate, and you lose focus of what you actually wanted to catch or capture or get where you wanted to go, and then you get lost in this obstacle course of problems. So you need optimism. Whenever a problem comes, you need to face it head on and say, it's a small problem. I'll go through it. I'll learn. So the next time I'll be better. And optimism is very good. It's very good in my opinion, because initially it's an acquired trait, I guess. You have to go through a lot of things to finally say, this too shall pass. I've got bit through worse, and I'll see in for a time. Then there is people. Now that is another thing of paramount importance. These 4 things: support, funds, optimism, people. These will basically guide you and hold you up. So people, when I say people, I mean friends, I mean people who share your vision, people who share your dream, people who are ready to be by your side. In my case, I was very, very lucky to find my people, my partners, my co-workers. They were very good to me, and I found a very good set of people because they understand the struggles that come up in between. They are ready to wait for it to come to. They don't mind waiting. I know all of them have their own individual problems, but they do not mind waiting, because they know that if it works out, it works out. And they're all happy to put in the hours. They're all happy to do the work, and we trust each other. And we know, if there's something, we talk amongst each other if anything comes up, and we are an ear for each other to talk to. Because one thing that you will find after your college time is that the friends you have now will always drift apart. They'll all have their own lives, and you will find new people who surround you. And you need to be open with them, because they are the people who will understand your problems more than the family you spend more time with, or the Natiga and the Vitigar. Now, the things I just mentioned are there are these things actually, they either build an entrepreneur or challenge him or throw in, him or her into throwing in the towel and accepting defeat. So if the previous things, any of those, if you don't have at least 3 of the previous things, it will decide whether you can either build yourself as an entrepreneur or you will have to give up. And I believe most entrepreneurs will agree with me when I tell you those 4 things are the things that matter the most. Now, what you need to know that no one tells you is there's a lack of guidance in setting up, lack of government initiatives when you need it, ego, absolute cluelessness when it comes to pricing, and tax. So lack of guidance in setting up. You will always have trouble finding people to tell you how to go about doing things. You won't know how there won't be people to tell you how to register your company properly or what to do or how to streamline it for your dreams in particular. Because I believe not everyone actually wants new people to come up. Everyone has their own dreams, and they're like another guy, another competition. Oh God, that attitude is there in everyone's face. Now, there is a lack of government initiatives when you need it. And I don't mean there's a lack of government initiatives. I mean a lack of government initiatives when you need it. So you might be in the middle of your product and product development, and it could be a very good product too, but it could be something of a game changer, and it does not fit into any of this existing categories. And that basically means there are no government funding initiatives. And since you're a startup, the chances of your product or you getting noticed are really slim, because there are a million other startups probably who are going to the government and being like, help me. So the chances of you getting the highlight platform to get your chance to show yourself, to get some initiatives that fund you or help you find what you need during your development process, it's tough. It's really tough. Then there's ego, both ways and actually everywhere. So ego, when you start as an entrepreneur, as I said, you have a lot of overconfidence. You're like, I'm going to be the CEO, the coveted title of CEO, and you will always have a little bit of an overconfidence within you. And there are other people who could be your friends or your acquaintances who are also in the startup field, and they could also, even though they could help you, they also have a little bit of an ego. They'll be like, okay, you have a product, it's okay. They won't particularly motivate you. They might try to put you down, or they might be indifferent. The chances of them motivating you is quite low, because when everyone has that internal compass or competition in their mind, everyone is like, attitude in them. So the chance, I believe, I'm someone who believes in the opposite, and I found it really tough to get in, because anyone I asked, they'd be like, the chance of it going is, it's very tough. Don't go for startup, go for a job, or you won't find people. It's hard. You hear a lot of that. But if you have something called synergy, if you find companies or people who actually believe in your product and you help each other out, I believe you will go further. Then there is absolute cluelessness when it comes to pricing. When engineers start a company, the thing is, they like to make the products. They love making the products. They'll spend time on it. They will spend hours on it. They will spend hours making it perfect. The corners, the shadows, the looks, the user experience. But when it comes to pricing, they have when I was in sales for a while, so I can tell you this, we have this fear of saying the price to other people's face. So when someone asks us how much it costs, we'll straight away do a mental calculation of how much the raw materials took, how much was cloud cost, how much was the domain cost, how much was the server cost, how much was the mail server cost, and then we'll add all that and maybe add a 10% margin and be like, this is the price. You always forget to take into account the hours you put into it or your team put into it. And that's why product pricing is something I feel is very lacking in our industry, because people don't know how to price their products. The main reason why many engineers right now in Kerala have jobs for 7,000 rupees and above per month is not because they're not skilled. It's because those companies do products that sell for maybe 50,000 or less. So when you have products that sell for 50,000 or less, IT products don't always sell like the things in a supermarket. They don't always keep selling. You have one customer, there's going to be some time till the next customer comes. So when you sell something for that low price, the margin or the amount of money you have left to hire people or do payroll is less. That's why I believe the industry goes backwards in salary. There's no minimum wage when it comes to engineers, as far as I know. If I'm wrong, you can tell me in the chat, because as far as I know, there's no minimum wage for engineers, which is why you can get engineers from anywhere between 30,000 rupees to up. And then taxes. That is another important thing that I found that most startups have difficulty calculating or figuring out the guidelines of. Taxes is something that every Indian citizen should know. It should be actually included in our school syllabus, because as an individual, you're supposed to pay taxes. As a company owner, you're supposed to pay taxes. And you're supposed to know what all you're supposed to pay tax for, the slabs and everything. But I'm pretty sure if I ask the participants here in this webinar right now, if anyone knows about taxes, the number of people coming up to me saying yes will be very low, because not very low people even know how much they're what's supposed to pay, what their slabs are. And now, what happens after you make it? And that's next, come back and giving back. So the poem Rope Not Taken by Robert Frost can very well be used to describe this path. So entrepreneurship isn't all colorful and movie magic to me. There's no Malayalam movie Jacob and Swargarajam. Once in one part no. Entrepreneurship is all cluelessness. I'm going to tell you my story so far. So I started this company as a product-based company, and my primary focus was ERP. And I know there are packages like Odoo and other companies that you can just take and resell, but I wanted to do something on my own, and that's what I did. And let's just say it took a lot of time and not much efforts, and then we had to pivot. Now we're doing educational labs because it's the time for educational labs. How many of you actually have college right now? Not many. You don't have college right now. You sit at your home, you are in your bedroom, you get video classes which sometimes work, sometimes don't. You get to show up, not show up, you get to text, you get WhatsApp. You do not have your old classes. The whole class environment is away. So now we turned our focus to that. So now we are an OTT platform. We are working on video streaming. From ERP to video streaming is basically a 180, because it's two different things. It's not basic CRUD, it's multimedia all the way. And if you ask me why we did that, I will still tell you, I don't know. We still have our ERP product in the pipeline. We are still doing this, and any startup and any entrepreneur will tell you that you need to be flexible on your feet. You cannot get hung up on one product. You need to move. You get hung up on a product, you spend, and if it fails, or if you see signs of failure, it affects you. You have to understand that as a company, as an entrepreneur, you have people, you have ideas, goals, and your product is just a means to an end. And your product has to be good. And only if people use it, it's successful. No matter how many hours you spend on it, if people don't love it, if people don't use it, it doesn't work. So you have to make something that actually helps people. So you have to be flexible on your feet. You have to move around. It can be rewarding if followed with earnestness, integrity, and synergy. Yes, entrepreneurship is rewarding, but if you follow it with earnestness, integrity, and synergy. And earnestness means you have to put your time into it. You can't say, even I have another. No, this is it. If you're going into this, this is all you do. And that way, I have to make it, or else all the time I spend into it will be wasted. Integrity. You cannot lose your integrity doing this. You have to be honest. You have to hold tight to your principles. And the second you lose your integrity, you lose your name, you lose your credibility, and don't do that. It's basic human principles. And then there's synergy. Help each other out. Help each other out. You have a company, you find another company that needs help, and if you can help them out, do it. Because someday it will come back to you. If you think, okay, he's failing. Yes, mine is going up, he's failing. Don't do that. Because when you are failing, there won't be anyone to help you out, and there'll be a lot of people to clap when you're failing too. So synergy is something that you have to work on. Nothing is more fulfilling than giving back. So when you have made something, always go back and help people out who want to be like you. Because they are just as clueless as you are right now. And if you know what to do, how to do something, go back and help them out. Because in the future, they might help you out too. There might be another Facebook, another YouTube in your juniors. And if they come to you for help and you say, no, I don't know, you're basically breaking, taking the chances of having another Facebook or YouTube in the world. And think about it. You could actually say, hey, that man, I helped him out when he was coming up. That's a motivating factor, right? And remember, money is a byproduct. Don't be a jerk, be cool, and enjoy the journey. That one line almost summarizes it all. Money is a byproduct. What you do, if you do it well, money will come. Don't be a jerk, help each other out. Be cool. Because there's nothing you're ever going to gain by stressing out. Be cool, be calm, be optimistic, and enjoy the journey because you chose this. So you're supposed to enjoy it. Everything that comes in is going to be sweet or sour, but it's part of the journey. The hard parts make the easier parts fun. So yeah, I think I just about summarized everything from my journey, and I know it seemed very clueless because that's how it is. It's clueless. You don't know how it goes. It's still going on. You do not know how it's going to end. Like Steve Jobs said, it's like you're going through a puzzle right now. You started from your starting point. Now, when you reach a point, if you look back to understand, these things happen because it was supposed to happen like that. That's why I am here this way. My co-founder, my employees are basically my co-founders. So one of my co-founders and my very good friend, Mike, he works with me, and he most of his statuses, I like him because they basically say the same thing. What I am right now is the sum of all the things I did in my past. And there are many lines that he uses. All the moments in my life culminated in me standing here, and all of them actually make very good sense because that's what human life is all about. Every action that you did in your past, every decision you took, you are the result of all your decisions. So the journey goes on. It's going to be clueless. Just be optimistic. Be hopeful. If it works, it works. So yeah. If you have any questions, then ping me. My name is Jessel Jose. I'm available on LinkedIn as Jessel Jose. I'll put my link up on the chat. I have a blog, justicenotes.com, where I write about my journey. And if anyone wants to get in touch with me, you can either get in touch with me on LinkedIn, or this is my mail address, jessel@justicenotes.com. And if you have any official inquiries, you can go for jessel@greymore.tech. And anything you want, clarifications, you have doubts, you want details about an internship, you want training, anything, I'm happy to help. So I guess I'm going to hand over to Abhishek right now. If you have any questions, you can put them in chat.
Perhaps, Jasil, you can, your contacts may be shared in the chat box also.
Yes, I will. I'll be posting my LinkedIn address and maybe my WhatsApp number too on LinkedIn on the chat right now. Thank you so much. Abhishek?
Sir, you can switch off the PPT. I'll share mine. My sound is audible. Sir, Shiv sir, Jessel, please comment on this.
Yes, it's a bit faint. Can you try to change the mic a bit? It's a bit faint.
I think you can bring the mic closer to you.
Yes.
Now it's okay. Is it like, do you have noise or something? Because it's raining
so it's much. Clear. It's clear.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
So good afternoon, everyone. I am, as Sunil sir has introduced me, I am Abhishek, WebJS developer, working as a WebJS developer in Wildlife Institute of India. So when you read my title, everybody would be wondering why a wildlife guy or a conservation guy is in the IT webinar. So basically, today, see, we all are here. I am in some part of Kerala. I mean, Sri sir is there. Jessel is connecting from Saudi. One of my friends is connecting from North India. So it's like from different parts of the world, we are connected in this global, even in this global pandemic. So that is because of one key player in our lives, that is technology. So today I want to take you guys to a mostly not seen aspect of IT, that is opportunities of IT in non-IT sectors for techies like us. So I myself, I'm a BTech graduate, IT pass out in 2018. So my career lies in wildlife conservation. What I do is I make mobile applications, website, web technologies for wildlife conservation. So basically, you have seen there are NGOs, there are government organizations, forest departments working to save our nature, save wildlife. So what I do is help them in using technology in their day-to-day tasks. Like in wildlife conservation or the sector of wildlife NGOs, there are other sectors in India and other coming opportunities where technology or even the techies are needed. So with today's webinar, I'm going to give you a picture of what exactly these opportunities are. So if you take an overview of Indian information technology in India, it is mostly two components. One is IT services, and the other is BPO. Am I audible? I mean, I'm getting a message that my audio is
Yes, it's a bit there.
just. I'll keep my
Can you hold the
laptop.
mic a bit closer, maybe?
Yeah. I'll keep my laptop. Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yeah. Yes.
Now is it? Yeah, this is audible. Thank you. So, information technology scenario in India, it is mostly divided into two parts. One is the IT services itself. When you call IT services, you can broadly categorize it as website development, mobile applications, all kinds of web infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, everything. There are organizations like TCS, Cognizant, all these well-known MNCs, small startups working in this. And there are the other sector is BPO, business process outsourcing. So basically, there's a task involved tasks like data entry, data management, data analysis. These kind of things are outsourced to small startups, small companies, big companies. So these two are the major components of IT in India. So if you see globally, the industry globally, India contributes around 75% of the global digital talent. I mean, we have so many youth. Youth in India is more than any other country. So the people who can manage, who can provide technology, number of people are very high. My audio is audible. No, I mean, I really have doubts in that. Just keep me the message if it is not. Yes. So the opportunities of technology, using technology or providing technology in our country is actually very big, because even India is a technical giant, and cities like Bangalore, Kochi, Delhi, they are coming up as an IT park and all. So there is a big opportunity lying in the information technology sector. And if you see today's world, like in this global pandemic, how we are connected, and apart from the emotions, we are connected using technology only. WhatsApp, we have Zoom, the Zoom calls, we have messaging. Like Jessel said earlier, there are products which decreases the distance between us. So these things has got technical opportunities, and as an IT student, IT engineers, we'll have that big opportunity lying in front of us for like in next 5 to 10 years. There's so many things coming up in India. So technology is a player in non-IT sector, not just in non-IT sectors. In IT sector, of course, the technology is a key player. But if you see the sectors like NGOs that I work for, wildlife NGOs, government departments, the technology is a key player. It's an emerging player. So there are certain verticals where we need technology. The data support and documentation. We got, let's say, our college itself, Amal Jyoti. We have Amal Jyoti SAS, or what we call it, that AS software. So that is basically a data management software. Imagine 10 years back, writing everything here, taking your attendance on a register and ticking like roll number one is present, yes, no, and all the answer sheets on all evaluation process. It's a human eccentric process. But now what is it? Now it is AES. Students can join online exams. There are teachers evaluations online, and everything is online. So data support and documentation is one of the major verticals where technology, the IT can give big solutions. Then there is then seamless fluidity of various programs under the same projects. Let's say if a road construction project is happening, so for a road construction project, if a government is issuing contract, there are so many contractors, let's say 3 or 4 contractors, and they do the road mapping. That's a civil engineering thing. They do road mapping, they do conservation kind of analysis if the wildlife is affected or not, and then the earth moving thing happens. So there are so many sub projects, sub modules that is happening, and the data information exchange between these sub projects or the different phases of project is important. So technology can help you build those kind of solution where everyone is on the same page. Like on a WhatsApp group, you share the information that tomorrow there is a meeting, tomorrow there's a change in surprise test. For example, in IT department, we have seen so many surprise tests, unit tests. We're sharing notes. So data exchange, there are many ways of data exchange. There are many opportunities where these kinds of technologies are required. Communication, as you know, so many China apps has been banned. TikTok, see that is one of the opportunities that is coming up. That is TikTok apps, let's say the Extender, on so many kinds of application which is used for communication. Let's say data sharing, WhatsApp messaging, social media, and all those kind of stuff. So these kinds of opportunities are also coming up in the current Indian scenario. Churning of information and data process and analysis. Uh, See, data processing and analysis is one of the key sectors when it comes to information technology, because now we have data. Data is, as the Reliance CEO Ambani has said, data is the new oil. So even if you see in this COVID times where all the companies are going down, the share markets are going down, Geo is completely debt free. I mean, they are raising so much money. That's kind of a business model that we all should aspire to. So data is the new oil. So when you have so much of data, you need to process it. It's not a easy task for a person or a group of people to process some data. If you are given thousands of textbook kind of data, and we tell you that we need this kind of information or this kind of graph, it's not humanly possible to do that thing. So that is why we have data processing algorithms and stuff, which can get the data and do analysis in like a flick of seconds. Technologies used in marketing presentation. One of the biggest example is Zoom itself. We are doing this webinar, or let's say I'm doing this presentation in front of you guys using this technology. 10 years back, if you think about giving a presentation to someone, the only way was go there, hire a chamber, or maybe take your bulky laptops to them and do connect to a projector and show it to them on the screen there. But with technology and with internet growing, what we have seen is marketing, like technology in marketing, presentations, everything it has got its hands in. Then robustness to the system. When somebody is doing a manual task, the error rates are very high. Even Jasid is the CEO of Greymore, so he would know while coding we do so many errors, and even as an IT student, you know what are the number of errors that we make. But with artificial intelligence and some other new technologies, what we see is these errors are now reduced. So these kind of things can be implemented in daily life tasks, which increases the robustness to the system. So I want to discuss about what are the technologies, I mean the buzzwords in terms of IT that are popular or that are growing in the current scenario. One of course is artificial intelligence. AI, if you see, AI and automation is like the growing technology, and people say that mechanical is an evergreen branch. I mean, I agree to it, but if you see in the 2020 scenario, IT and CS is an evergreen branch, because every company that even a core mechanical company like Ferrari, or let's say the Boeing aircraft manufacturers, or even Tesla, they all use information technology. I mean, without IT, you can't imagine any kind of organizations working, any kind of companies working, any institute or even you cannot think of a day when you are away from your mobile phone. So everything is IT. So as an IT engineer or CS engineers, we have that bigger kind of hands and reach to these kind of big market, where we can bring in changes, when we can bring actually bring these technology to people easier. Then of course the big data analytics, everybody talks about it. Big data, there's a big data analytics going on. Google is working on big data. Oracle, they are providing big data. And what is actually big data? Big data is just getting data in terabytes and petabytes of size. So, and of course you need technology to manage these kind of data, because if you're getting data, one terabyte of data every hour, I mean, even our laptops doesn't support that kind of data transfer speed. But if you're getting 1 TB of data every hour, how will you manage these data? I mean, how will you take information out of these data? So we need technology for that. Then of course cyber security, one of the least touched topics, or least touched technologies in India, least bothered technologies in India, is cyber security. Because if you see, nobody is worried about cyber security. We, even as an IT engineer, I am not that much keen into cyber security, because we don't have that awareness. So so if, as personally, we don't have that awareness, even the people who runs the companies, or who the companies will not have awareness. So there is another business aspect or a business opportunity, where cyber security people like pen testers who do these hacks, hack the Apple or Facebook kind of, what we call is white hat hackers or gray hat hackers. So we all have one opportunity, growing opportunity in India, where cybersecurity is going to like lead, because in over the entire world, the data security, the privacy, the scenarios are changing. So India is also eventually going to adopt it. Then one of the most important thing is web and mobile application development, because if you consider today's scenario, you cannot even imagine about us about an organization, institute, or anything who doesn't use a website or a mobile application for their day-to-day purposes. Be it using Facebook. Facebook is also a website. There are organizations who use groups, Facebook groups, for their marketing stuff or managing stuff. Even Facebook has got Facebook businesses. Organizations and companies has got their websites. They have mobile applications specifically for their needs, or maybe generic things. So websites and mobile application is one genre, or one field where this is not going to disappear any soon, at least not for the next 15-20 years. Then cloud and infrastructure, as we are using cloud technologies more and more, shifting to Amazon, Azure, Google Cloud, and all these kinds of cloud. This the opportunity in giving technology, or providing technology in that field is also increasing. Then of course networking. When we talk about all these kind of technology, internet, high-speed internet, or cloud infrastructure, one of the key thing that binds everything together is networking. Of course, if you don't have a network in your house or in your college or anywhere, you can't access the internet, or you can't make these computers talk to each other. So networking is also one of the growing technologies in demand. So, see, these are just what I have told, which are like in the day-to-day scenario, which is increasing. And there are other things also, technologies also, which is just like starting, or maybe in next 10 to 15 years it will grow. So there's some interesting startups which are working to bridge this gap. One is Leopard Tech Labs, owned by our Thomas sir, professor itself, a professor in IT. Then one of my friends' companies, Trophis Technologies, they are working dedicatedly working to help NGOs, the NGO sectors, and small scale industries. Then we have Jessel's company, Greymore Tech Private Limited, and the other startup, Force Labs Private Limited, is also from our IT department from our college. So these are the interesting startups that I know of. I have personally worked with, who are helping a larger community to bring the technology to everyone. Now let's come to a point where I'll tell you what exactly I do in Wildlife Con. If you see my profile, I work with wildlife conservation. But if you see my profession or my degree, that is information technology, BTech. So every like people who are, I tell they ask what is your connection, like wildlife and information technology. I mean, for a normal person, it is totally different. So when I was in college, 2017, third year, when I and Jasil were there, so we all have major, mini projects and major projects. So as part of project, we developed a mobile application. So okay, so the IT part is done. Now, what connection it has with wildlife? So the wildlife connection it had is, see, if you see in Wayanad or some remote areas where forest people live in forest or in the nearby forest, so there is a problem called wildlife conflict. So conflict is basically elephants or tiger coming in your houses, staying in your house, or attacking humans, doing this thing. So this is called human wildlife conflict. So we developed a mobile application which was helping the forest department to take actions during a wildlife conflict. So this first project of mine, Jessel was also a part of the project. So this was one first step towards technology in a non-IT sector in my career. So I started working with Leopardtech Labs. They have so many conservation projects happening. So I was head of conservation projects in Leopardtech Labs. Then I shift to Delhi, where there are so many NGOs, wildlife NGOs, like International Union for Conservation Nature, IUCN, Wildlife Trust of India, where I developed mobile application. I mean, these mobile applications are not rocket science. If I explain you the technologies behind it, it's very simple. It's even a third or fourth year student can easily understand what technology is going behind. But they were no, everyone as an IT, even see in third year when I was there, even Shiji sir was saying you prepare for your campus placements and everything. So as a whole, everyone when we are in an IT uh, engineering, what we look at is the IT field is in with these MNCs, let's say TCS or Cognizant or these kinds of MNCs, that popular MNCs. But actually, the use of technology is done by other non-IT sectors in the country. These MNCs are providing technologies to these companies. So the entire point of this webinar, when Shiv sir told me about taking a webinar, I told him, sir, I want to take these students and give them an eye-opening stuff to other sectors where you can build your own. You can use your own experience, your own technology to help other sector, other people, like the NGOs. Nobody talks about NGOs. Nobody talks about giving technologies to NGOs, because and also there are so much opportunities in it. I have worked with several NGOs for the last 2 years, and I have seen what are the kinds of technologies that they can use. Right now, I'm working in Wildlife Institute of India. They have tie-ups with Microsoft, where they're using artificial intelligence and image recognition to identify animals from photographs. I mean, think of it. For an IT engineer or an IT undergrad student, making a image recognition algorithm is not a big deal. And if you read about the new open source technologies coming up, you can easily develop a AI software or image recognition or maybe a data processing software. But for government organizations, NGOs, this is not possible. So why don't everyone, like I already discussed this with Jessel, why don't you people who are thinking about entrepreneurship think about giving your services, making these technologies for non-IT sectors in India? So this is the vision of this webinar. And see, if I talk about my stints with technology, I have right now I'm developing a server, GIS server. So GIS is basically a server which sends information about GPS locations or GPS data. So I'm building a GIS server for Maharashtra Forest Department to disseminate the geographical information, which helps research in wildlife conservation. Actually, I have implemented wireless camera technology deep inside the forest. So Wildlife Trust of India has their own animal rehabilitation center in Kaziranga. Now I'll tell you the perks of concentrating in some non-IT sectors. So when I entered into wildlife, I got an information that they have a requirement where inside the forest they have a center, but their headquarters are in Delhi, and one of the organizations funding them is in US. So they want to see their elephants, rhinos, and all those animals in real time. So there was no technology. I mean, if you implement normal CCTV cameras, you cannot see that because you don't have internet connection over there. So what will you do? So I and one of my friends, we went to Kaziranga. Like we spent almost 1 month of time. We implemented a wireless camera technology, which actually gives a live feed to the headquarters. And now people sitting at the headquarters of WTI, or even having mobile application, people with mobile applications can see their elephants, their rhinos, all these kinds of all these animals in their center live. So I'll share some footages with you, live streaming. So see, these are the hardwares that we use. I mean, what I am doing is they're implementing cameras, mobile antennas, internet stuff inside a forest. I mean, for a normal person, can you even imagine about a situation where you're doing this thing? These are the leopard enclosures that they have, and we have put antennas there on leopard enclosures. These are the cameras that we have put, and all of this are majorly connected wirelessly. I mean, if you put wires in these forest areas, you have got giant squirrels, even normal squirrels, which will cut off these wires, and you will lose these internet connectivity in no time. So this was the output that we get. I mean, even the headquarters, we get this kind of camera footage where all these animals are seen live. This is uh, one of the perks of focusing on non-IT sectors. How many of you as an IT engineer can imagine spending 15 to 30 days or that much of time in like totally forest areas? This is actually forest areas. The wires that you see are actually keeping these elephants out from an human habitat area to a forest area. So an IT engineer going there inside the forest implementing this is actually one fascinating thing. I want to draw your attention is the IT sector is not just TCS, Cognizant, or these IT giants or the IT startups that is coming up. The technology is used by other organizations, those who want technology. There are so many. And just like I was recently, I was watching a video of a company called Bark Technologies. They're somewhere based in US, and they are using artificial intelligence and data management softwares to help these child trafficking, etc. See, these are the landscapes that I have worked on where technology has been used, and this is Kaziranga forest. This is in Assam, the state of Assam. So if those remote areas need technology, I mean, though even the remotest areas has a need of technologies, high-end technologies, then if you just open your eyes and do a small search where the technology can be implemented, then that will be a big step. See, there's a leopard sleeping on bench. This is one of the enclosures that they have. So we are running little short on time, so I'll conclude my webinar with this a short statement. See, we have internet, and you guys are well versed with the use of internet, use of technology, how you make technologies, artificial intelligence, or maybe coding, websites, normal mobile applications, anything. Let that be any kind of technologies. You day to day you use technologies. These technologies are used by other organizations whose primary task is not IT. It might not be IT, but they need technology, IT technologies, hardware technologies, networking solutions for their day-to-day tasks to make this easy. You as an IT engineer can help these NGOs, these organizations, small and medium enterprises, big companies, all this kind of stuff with providing your expertise in technology and helping them making their lives better. Because see, at the end of the day, all the technologies are made to make their life easier. If video conferencing with 128 people on WhatsApp was tough, a Zoom was introduced. While doing Zoom, there was some issues, so Microsoft Teams was introduced. So like that, newer technologies are coming day to day, in the like every day, and technology is increasing. So keep yourself posted. There are so many tools online you can use where you get information on your emails. You see, there is a tool called Google Alerts. So if you put some keywords on that, you'll get a regular update about what is happening in the world, and these will email you the stuff. So that's like one of the technologies that you can keep yourself updated. So keep exploring what are the ways that you can contribute uh, your ideas, your skills to the world. It's not necessary, like in the last previous presentation, Jessel said money is just a byproduct. It's not necessary you have to make crores or billions or million dollars or $1 million company through your technology. If you're making a technology and you're not making millions, maybe $100,000 or couple of lakhs only, but if you are able to help these kinds of organizations, these kind of people who are really in need of technology, that will lead to greater success. So I'll like to end my webinar by saying this: keep exploring about new technologies that is coming up. Like, keep updated yourself with the new technologies that are coming up, and explore is use technology. Until and unless you do a project or actually do something out of it, you'll never get to learn things. And I and Jessel have actually done these stuff. If you ask Jessel, in his journey also, and even me, we have learned PHP, Node.js, and all these kinds of web technologies, these fancy stuffs, only by doing it. I mean, Shiju sir will also know this, because from second year, third year, we have been developing technologies, and at that time, we were very much confused. It's okay to be confused, but until and unless you're exploring things, you're trying out things, everything will fall into a place at some time. So give it some time, keep exploring, and yeah, you can contact me anytime. Any doubts you guys have, I'm ready to help you. It may be asking how to work with government, how to get projects. I work as a freelance, so I take projects on my own. Sometimes I outsource, sometimes I do it myself. So I don't have a company right now. I'm working as a freelance only. So I can help you get projects. I can help you guide through this and whatever. So my contact is abhishek.com. I'll share my LinkedIn and other profiles in the chat. So yeah, thank you. Over to you, Shil sir.
Sunil sir?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jasil and Abhishek, for sharing your experience and sparing your time with us.
Thank you.
And I will invite Srijasar, HOD IT department, to give vote of thanks.
Again, great privilege. Second time basically today. My own students, they're senior to the previous people who have taken the session. Jasil running behind a lot of things during his studies itself, jumped into a field wherein I feel that he is a perfect fellow, like marketing. Get a kind of experience in Byju's app, and then he is towards behind his dream. Started his own company, Gremo, and successfully right now running it. Thank you very much, Jasil, being with us, not here from India, but from outside, connecting all of us and sharing your experience and what to do, what not to do, basically, when you start up with a company, was a kind of real exposure to all the participants, I feel, genuinely feel. And that will definitely help each of these participants. and basically a kind of motivation for us also to bring more students, more people like you from the department. That's really amazing. Thank you very much, Jasil, being part of this webinar, being an alumni. I thank you from the bottom of heart and also from the Department of IT. Talking about Abhishek, the classmate of Jasil, he been here for quite a long time. Initially, after his BTech, he got an opportunity in TCS, but he dropped it. I don't know. I forced him basically certain times, why you are not joining TCS. You got a good opportunity. But I understood that not just he basically, but rather their seniors also. When Jasil's Abhishek seniors were already there into the IT zone and working for this leopard technology, and that is a kind of motivations to these guys also to start up with their own kind of workforce or kind of enthusiasms to get into their dreams and fulfill their dreams. One very good point that is shared by Abhishek is regarding how we as an IT could actually work for a non-IT sector, how we can contribute a non-IT sector. That was quite amazing basically, and a kind of boom which he was mentioning, like other branches. Now IT CS being now leading, I mean kind of leading at this pandemic situation also, like we are all getting connected only because of these technologies which is being built by ITCS engineers, connecting everyone. I mean all other mother branches is getting connected through this. Is an amazing point which is pointed out by him, and his sharing towards wildlife, where he has spent a lot of time in forest trying to find out a kind of solution which is a real solution through IT technology, bringing a kind of real simple solutions for great critical problems, that is to actually monitor wildlife, wild animals actually in wild forest. That's amazing actually. So we basically congratulate Abhishek also into the field wherein he is working really hard, and now he is associated. He is working here there in Delhi, being part of the wildlife Trust of India. I mean that's amazing actually. He's making real projects which is going to contribute to India in future as well. So I personally, as well as on the behalf of the department, I'd like to thank Abhishek also being part of this, sharing his experience towards the technology being built on IT. That's something really great. Thank you very much, Abhishek, for being part of this. Thank you very much. I would also like to thank the college actually giving us a kind of permission to conduct a webinar series for a week, which is actually coordinated by Department of IT, Amaljyoti College of Engineering. Also, all the professors of the department taking a lot of pain actually to organize this, making sure that things are happening on time, getting connected to the participants, to the external outsiders. I would also like to thank the coordinator of this particular event, this particular program, Professor Sunil Sakariya, who is the assistant professor in the Department of IT, taking a kind of real connections to Abhishek and Jasil, making this event happen. Thank you so much, sir. And at the end, I would like to thank all the participants, keeping the patience, listening to the resource persons very carefully, and I hope that this will definitely help them in their future endeavor. Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again. Stay happy.
Thank you, sir.
Stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jasil.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek.